Hello,
Oh,
everyone. Welcome to my next podcast. And this one will center on home buying, specifically for millennials, but in general for everyone. Welcome my special guest for today, Jared from North Carolina.
hey guys, thank you for having me. Hey there, hey there.
Yes, yay. So I'm excited to learn about this topic. And I know you're a realtor agent. I personally work for like a board. So that's why I got interested in this area. And I've always been interested in just looking at, the aesthetics of housing anyway. And I was sort of kind of interested in going into, being a realtor, an affiliate broker. But anyway, could you explain a little about what you do from day to day?
Well, day to day, I feel, it's kind of different. Some days are more busier than others for sure, and what you got scheduled and going on for the day. But a day to day for me is usually getting up and just going to the office in the morning and doing some, just getting kind of the business stuff set up, maybe post on social media, looking through the MLS, seeing what's getting posted up, what's going on around the area. If anything's coming up, coming active, coming soon, see what if you got some buyers looking in certain areas. And then also lead generating, and there's a lot of ways to do that. I focus on a lot of cold calls, which are tough at times. It's a tough thing to build a business around. It's very hard on cold calls, but also other things. I mean, like social media and just meeting people and past friends and people I went to school with. So day to day is kind of just getting on the phones, looking through the MLS. Sometimes we'll have showings and then listing appointments and just meeting with people, and even kind of sometimes just checking homes out just because I'm interested in it and it look like you said it looks cool, so I want to go see it and
Mhm.
uh, kind of look at the numbers on it. I kind of like analyzing deals in my head and as far as investing and stuff like that. And so it'd be cool just to check them out sometime. So that's kind of my day to day.
Very cool. And I love the schedule about just kind of making your own schedule. And it's not the typical 9 to 5 and everything. And
Yeah. That-
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say that's good, and it's also because a lot of people are telling me that they like, oh, you're getting to make your schedule. That's so nice. But really, I'm on everybody else's schedule. That's how it feels like a client calls me at any time of the day and is like, oh, I want to see this house. I want to see this house. And I'm like, okay, we can go see it. Because if
Yeah.
I don't, somebody else could show it to them. And it's like, it's kind of like a 24/7,
Hmm.
24/7 job. But I personally like that a lot better. Just keeps me
Hmm.
very engaged. And so you could be getting better all the time. You could be working all the time.
Hmm. That's very true. I never thought about it in that way that you're on everyone else's time because I hear a lot of people say like that's a super positive number one thing that oh you get to make your own schedule and everything. But like you said, I didn't even think about that because the home buyers actually, go to work and have to pick up
Yeah.
the kids and everything like that. So you have to kind of work around their schedule. Um, but yeah, like you said earlier, I'm very familiar with the MLS. That's like a big
Mhm.
that's a huge thing that I usually work with realtors about. So I know that's interesting from, well, maybe from state to state, everyone's different and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. So for which group of people or age group would you say you meet mostly that are interested in home buying? Would you say millennials are starting to, wanting to move in that direction? Because I know a lot of millennials, us were like frequent home flyers, like after
Yeah.
college, got our own place, but then went back home with the parents. So are you seeing like an increase of that or like it's stagnant?
Yeah, I feel like you're definitely seeing a increase with younger people buying homes and also investing too. I think it's just a lot of people are opening up more to the idea of it, and I think it's really good, especially with right now with going on almost everywhere. Rents are going up pretty almost everywhere, and they're going up a lot. So it's definitely I'm seeing a shift of especially more younger people that are getting out of school, getting their jobs, and they're like, okay, this rent stuff is not it, and they're going up. And it's like we just need to get a place of our own. And so
Mhm.
we'll be paying less than rent and we'll own it and it'll be all good. So a lot of people are realizing that. And that is big for me because I work with a lot of first time home buyers and younger people in general. And so it's good. And I talk to a lot of people that are thinking about buying a home, but kind of on the fence, don't think they could afford it or something like that. And I just break it down to like, you would be paying less owning this property than you would renting. And so once people see that, it kind of really opens the door. And then they're like, okay, that
Mhm.
makes sense. But I mean, it's kind of just facing that money down problem,
Mhm.
uh, saving up to get that money down. And so that's a lot of people's big problem. But I
Mhm.
mean, you definitely are seeing, like I said, you definitely are seeing a lot of younger people getting into it, and it's exciting.
Mhm.
It's definitely exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And I was going to ask you that next about, if it was best to rent or to just own a home. And I hear a lot of people say that when you own, you're saving more money, typically,
Yeah,
as the saying goes. So would you agree?
I would say it all depends on your situation. I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into that, so I don't want to say one's
Mm-hmm.
better than the other,
Mm-hmm.
just because it all depends on your situation. I mean, some people you can't buy. And like for example, self-employed people like myself, it's hard for me to get a loan for a property going through a bank. I mean, there's other ways to do it around the bank, but
Mm-hmm.
getting a loan from a bank is the how most people do it, how
Mm-hmm.
most people do things, and that is hard to do. Say if you're self-employed, you got to have 2 years of tax returns, or you got a lot of student debt, or a lot of things could be going on with your certain situation. But
Mm-hmm.
I do say if you have a steady job, a steady income that you're comfortable with, and you can save up a little money, even tax time's coming around, use your
Yeah.
taxes and actually buy the home. Because in the long run, it'll save you a lot of money. It's just that initial cost of getting the home. And then after that, in the long run, you'll just be saving a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Your money will be going somewhere. And then also it could be, I mean, you could be in a situation where you're just going to be in this place for a year. You're just going to be here for 6 months. Maybe you're just, and so then renting may be better because you have a lot more leeway when it comes to. So it's kind of, I feel like that's kind of situational.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're able to buy a home, I definitely say I would go with buying over renting if your situation allows it.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense as you break it down. I did see the long-term value in buying a home because you are ideally saving in the future. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad you broke it down that way. For a new home buyer, so what would you say would be the first step? You said saving money. So after they've saved the money, what would be the next thing? Do they just go to you all guys like find a firm or like
Yeah.
what would be the step?
I would say the first thing, whenever you start thinking about a home, is of course make sure your credit's in check. Make sure you do all that you can and all you know of to get your credit good. Save up a little money, and then you can either go straight to an agent, and most agents have a lender they work with, and they can send you to a lender, or you can just go straight to a lender if you know one or you know a company, something like that. But your first step is definitely going to be going to a lender to get pre-approved, and they're going to go through your financials such as credit score, your income, your debt to income ratio, all that good stuff. And it's going to show you what they're basically going to tell you what you can afford,
Hmm.
and how much they would be willing to loan you. And so that's the first step. And before you even go to them, that's when you should kind of be working on your credit and saving up money. And they can tell you so, but they can also tell you some things that could help that and speed up that process. So it's good to talk to them. And like I said, you can find one yourself, or almost every agent's gonna have a lender that
Hmm.
they work with. I got a real good guy where he can approve you real fast. Just send him a couple of documents, and he can get you pre-approved. So that's the first step, and then you kind of go with that agent and start looking at homes.
Okay, very nice. So the ideal credit score, do you have one or does it like varies? Like if
It varies. It definitely depends on what kind of loan. I mean, some loans you're gonna have to have a pretty good credit score to get. But I mean, if you look at FHA, which is the first time home buyers, most first time home buyers are FHA, which is a 3.5% down, and their credit score I would believe is 580 and above, and I could be wrong because they do change the stuff from time to time, but it's around 580 to 600, I believe, above that, and you can qualify for your first
Okay.
time. So it doesn't take you definitely don't have to have like an 800
Mhm.
or nothing crazy like some people may expect. It's just a decent score and some good stuff behind it, like just being able to prove you can pay for things,
Exactly.
basically.
Okay, well, I'm sure that's a relief for everyone listening.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because a lot of people don't know that. They think you gotta have like this perfect score to buy a house, to buy a car, and things of that nature. So you just gotta be in good shape, basically.
Yeah, that I feel like some of the biggest myths are that you got to have a perfect score and you got to have 20% down, which
Mhm.
is not the case. Like I said, first time home buyers usually qualify for FHA, which is 3.5% down. So really not that much when you think about it. I mean, of course, depends on what kind of home you're
Mhm.
buying, what price range you're in, but
Mhm.
it's really not that bad and nowhere close to 20%. So you definitely don't got to have all of that money to buy your first home.
That was going to be my next question. I was like, so I heard, or when I do research, it's 20%. That's
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what everybody kind of goes with. Yeah.
exactly. So I'm glad I asked you that. Oh my goodness. So okay, have good credit score, and then after that is when they can, reach out to you guys and go search for property
Yeah.
of that nature.
Get pre-approved, and then you kind of meet with your agent. And usually you do like a buyer's consultation, which is just sitting down with your agent and going over what to expect and the process exactly. And so once you get pre-approved, that's when the agent will start asking you questions. Okay, what do you want? Where do you want to be? What's your boundaries? Obviously, you see their budget with their pre-approval, but also just because you're approved for just say 300,000 doesn't mean you want to spend 300,000.
Mhm.
And that's what I always tell people. Just because you got approved for that much doesn't mean you have to use that much. So
Mhm.
be aware of what you're spending and be comfortable because you don't want your house to take up your whole life. You don't want everything, all the money you make going to your house because you do want to live your life and have fun and you got other things to pay for as well. So it's just budgeting correctly.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely makes sense, with the budgeting and everything. And I'm glad you did say that 3% thing. And
Mhm.
so after they talk to the agent, do they go look at, like, is there a certain amount of homes that they can view, or do you just keep going until they're interested in something?
Oh no, you just kind of keep going until you show them. Especially in this market right now, the market's pretty hot. Things are going so quick. It's not a lot of inventory up, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of buyers trying to get one home. And so right now you kind of got to jump on it, and especially it goes kind of back to that scheduling thing. That's why you can't really be like, oh yeah, we can do that later this week. It's like whenever that thing pops up, you gotta
Yeah,
like, okay, let's see it now.
you have to
So
be.
you got to be on it and ready to go in this market. Um, so it's definitely, I mean, once we get a sense of what you want, I'm gonna send you everything that kind of falls in that criteria. You tell me they tell me what they're trying to see, and I show it to them immediately. In this market, you can like some people I've shown 20 homes and we didn't get one, and some people I've shown like 3 or 5 homes and we got one. And so it's kind of different. It also just depends on I mean, it depends on your buyer too. Sometimes people
Mhm.
they get nervous and they're like, we want that, but we don't want to spend that. We don't want to do that. And it's a lot of being a real estate agent is dealing with emotions, especially when you're doing residential. It's
Mhm.
dealing with emotions with people because especially when it's their first home, they get nervous through the process. Something goes wrong,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Oh my God," they're freaking out, and it's just okay. We got this. Chill. We're gonna handle it. It's a really emotional thing when people are buying houses, which is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, and it's because it's a big decision. Uh,
Mhm.
so I definitely understand it, but yeah, a lot of it's dealing with emotions and
Oh,
showing the
wow.
homes in in bunches right now, especially on the weekends. Weekends you run, and that's how it's been going recently.
Oh, you do a lot of house showings on the weekends?
Yeah, because a lot of clients, that's when they're off, and so that's when we can really line up 4 or 5 showings and make a day out of it.
Mhm.
Um, but like I said, if something pops up on a Monday,
Mhm.
we have to schedule, whether it's later in the day or early in the morning, we have to make it work somehow. Because if it gets put on the market on a Monday, it's probably not going to be there on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
With the way things are going now. Yeah, so you definitely got to jump on it. But if on the weekends when you can just get a whole bunch of houses in.
Mm-hmm. I did hear that right now the market is like booming, and I found
Yeah.
it interesting because I've heard like over, this thing with COVID and everything, a lot of people lost their jobs and everything, and so the money was kind of funny.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, you see a lot of people buying homes, and then the rates of the homes have like skyrocketed and they're buying that. So I'm just trying to find the like correlation between the two, because
Yeah.
we've heard, on the news with people losing their jobs, but now you hear that this is like the best time or you hear a lot of people buying, homes. So I'm
Yeah.
like, so how long have you been in the business?
So I'm coming up February. I'll be 2 years of me getting licensed,
Mhm.
and so I got my license in February 2020, right during the COVID,
Yeah.
right when COVID started. So it was a pretty crazy time to get it.
Mhm.
As soon as I got my license, COVID hit, and
Mhm.
I hung my license with Keller Williams in April.
Mhm.
I started with the firm in April, but I mean that whole year from April, rest of that year was just actually learning what real estate was. It wasn't even working with people. I didn't work with many people. It was really just learning. I worked with a couple people, but it was really just learning
Mhm.
contracts, learning how to talk to people,
Mhm.
learning what things meant, looking at numbers, and just like learning the industry more.
Mhm.
And then last year, I felt like was my full year, my first full year of like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I gotta do it now. And so and this would be my excuse me.
Mhm.
This would be my second year, like I said, kind of knowing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Uh, to an extent, I mean, you never fully know what you're doing. It feels like in real estate, but
You roll with the punches.
yeah, you just got to deal with it sometimes. But yeah, so this would be my second full year, 2022. So we're hoping to have a real good year.
Well, I'm excited for you. I hope.
Thank you. I'm excited as well.
Yes. So in the beginning, when you said that you started during COVID, so would you say the market was the same when you started because COVID did hit, or was it like there was not that many people buying homes versus how many people are buying them now? Or
Yeah, I definitely feel like the market was a little bit different right in at 2020 time when I was coming in mainly. And I think it was a little bit less. It wasn't like it was now. It was a little bit less because people were scared to
Mhm.
do anything really. Like even sellers were scared to sell because they don't know what's going to go on
Mhm.
after. They don't know where they want to go. Like it's everybody was scared. Buyers didn't really want to buy nowhere because they don't know what's going on. And
Mhm.
so I mean, you still have all the time people are going to be buying and selling,
Mhm.
but at that time period, it felt like a lot of people were just like, okay, let's just wait it out and see what's going to happen with this COVID stuff. And so when I first started, definitely you see a lot of people just, and it was all new to me anyway. So I was just kind of trying to
Mhm.
still learn things, and it just felt like a little bit different than it does now, though, for sure. Like people were just kind of on the standstill, waiting to see what's going to be next. And
Right.
now it's like it's just no inventory out here. No, there's so many buyers, but not enough homes being listed for sale.
Not as many open houses, or so I've
Yeah,
heard.
yeah, it's definitely tough because first of all, it's not a lot of inventory and a lot of houses going up for sale, and then out of those houses for sale, they're selling so quick they don't even need an open house to get like
Oh my
it,
goodness.
yeah, it's hard to even do an open house because I mean a lot of places now may even get you see a lot of sight unseen offers. So some people aren't even seeing these homes in person before they buy them and make these big offers. And
Really?
also, yeah, and also a lot of companies, and you see it in North Carolina for sure, especially smaller towns, but bigger investment companies and from other places like LA and New York, those companies are coming down here and buying because it's so expensive. And that's where you see a lot of people for example, moving to the Raleigh area from these other states like LA and LA and New York,
Mhm.
because it's so expensive there. And then the COVID stuff had a lot of people working from home. And so why work from such an expensive home when you can come here in Raleigh and
Exactly.
be much more affordable than those places.
For sure. I bet the realtor experience in New York is interesting because of how many people like share property and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Some
And
people-
those prices are wild. Like like a commission in New York and LA, like those places are, if you're selling $1 million home, that's a lot of money you make too. Like,
Oh my goodness. I was
yeah.
just looking at like just looking on YouTube at mansions or beautiful like luxury homes in
Mhm.
New York. And they're all like starting like 14 million. They're like,
Yeah.
oh
Or a lot of people tell me about Selling Sunset. I've watched a little bit of that, like something like Selling Sunset or these
my goodness.
like Netflix shows that do all these big houses. I'm like, yeah, I don't make nothing like that. So don't so don't try to compare that. It's nothing. It's nothing like that. Um, yeah, we'll say yeah. We'll say yeah. Nothing
It's
like that.
crazy expensive. Oh my goodness. I do enjoy
Yeah,
looking at those homes though. They're beautiful for the people that can afford them.
for
Um,
real.
yeah, it's oh my goodness. I have to tell you about the guy that does this housing thing. But anyways, for people that's interested in going into your area of field, this is the last thing I want to touch on. How can they go about it? Because I'm very familiar with the CE credits. You're having to have 16 credits, 2 years prior to renewing your license. Is it the same there?
Well, yeah, here in NC, you really just gotta to get your license. You take your pre-licensing course, which is just 75 hours.
Mhm,
75 hours, and then you do your class test after that.
mhm,
And so you'll do your 75 hours, take your class test, a national and a state, and then you move on and take the official real estate exam,
mhm,
uh, state and a national. And once you pass both of those, you're good to go. You'll be a provisional broker. And
mhm,
then you have, I believe it's 2 years. I could be wrong.
mhm,
I could definitely be wrong on this, but you have to take your post licensing, 3 post licensing classes, and then you can become a full broker.
mhm,
Uh, in the It's not too many differences. Just the main differences with provisional broker, which is a PB versus a full broker, is
mhm,
just kind of more in that newer phase. You're still learning. Like you can't really do first couple of deals. You got to have somebody with you, kind of
mhm,
guide the process, and you can't do dual agency. You can't represent both sides, and it's just a couple of things you can't do because you're not a full broker.
mhm,
But it's like I said, 3 classes. You can knock those out real quick. As soon as you get your license, you can go ahead and start getting ready to take your post license and then become a full broker within like
mhm.
a couple months. So
Oh, very
it's
cool.
definitely easy to do.
That's
And
very cool.
yeah, and not expensive at all. I mean, you can go to community colleges for your real estate class. You can go to there's schools for that, and a lot of firms will pay for you to go. If you
Mhm,
want to work with them after, they'll pay for your stuff.
mhm,
You're able to pay for your class.
mhm. I've noticed because some of the brokers that come to us, some of the principal brokers are,
Mhm.
paying for their some of their education or some of their dues and everything like that.
But when you get your license, this is how my teacher broke it down to me, and so this is what I tell everybody if they ask me. It's like when you get your license, every firm wants you to come to them. It's not really like you're applying for jobs. It's like they're applying to you. Like it's kind of like the opposite. You're interviewing them. That's how you kind of look at it because everyone wants you there because you're going to make them money if you actually sell stuff, and so they want you there. And that's why these companies will just pay for you to go because then you're more likely to come to them. And if you do good, they make more money. And so that's usually how it goes. And so you definitely just want to interview. Once you get your license, it's more like who do you want to go to, not
Mhm,
who will take me.
very neat. Oh my goodness, I never knew that. That's crazy. It's kind of like high school students when they graduate and all the colleges start like bombarding your mailbox.
Yeah, because they know you're coming to pay tuition and they're they're making money like that. Yeah. And so they already know it's kind of like the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you and your education and letting people know how to be a realtor, what to expect when they're interested in being a home buyer
Mhm.
and everything. Is there anything else you would like to tell people, first time home buyers or anything, or are you good?
It's definitely just start thinking about it more. And if you have a question, if you think
Mhm.
you're thinking about buying a home, reach out to me. I can definitely help out with anything. Follow me on Instagram. It's just Jared Gunter
Mhm.
underscore. So on Facebook at Jared Gunter. And we can definitely have that talk if you're considering, or if you're considering getting into real estate. Help you out any way I can with that as well. And so just think about it. Real estate is definitely a game changer.
Mhm.
Um, so just definitely think about it. Even once you get your first home, start investing in real estate. It's a great market to invest in
Mhm.
for long-term wealth. So people just, especially younger people, I always push people to get in real estate because it is definitely a game changer. But yeah, uh, I really appreciate you having me. Really had fun.
Mhm. Of course. Thank you for coming on. And I'll put your social media sites in the comments and across the screen, of course.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, guys, as always, thank you. And I will see you in the next one.